Welcome all. Max of the Accidental Engineer here. Today we're joined by Carol Toro, staff software engineer at IBM in San Jose. Is that right?
Yes, in Silicon Valley.
In Silicon Valley. And me and Carol have known each other for a long while, but in that time, Carol has changed careers in a pretty dramatic way, becoming a software engineer,
Exactly.
which makes you a freaking great guest to have on the show. Do you mind sharing for our audience what it is that you work on at IBM now?
Yeah, definitely. So currently I work at IBM doing statistical software that data scientists can use or statisticians can use. We're basically revamping SPSS. We're revamping the front end and trying to incorporate newer technologies into the product.
So we both went to college together. Do you mind sharing for our audience what your majors were first time around in the bachelor's program?
So when I went off to Scripps College, my major was Latin American Studies and Hispanic Studies.
Nice. And after college, what is it that you did professionally?
So after college, I went off to work at Microsoft in Seattle, and I was actually a program manager on the sales and operations side. I didn't feel challenged. I always wanted to do something with computers ever since like 5th grade, 6th grade. I mean, in 6th grade, I would make websites for my friends. Because, the AOL websites were just pretty boring. So I'd be on like Angel Fire and make websites for all my friends. And I was always just interested in computers.
Mm-hmm. I know a lot of our audience are in their first, second, or third software engineering jobs, or maybe have not gotten one yet. To kind of give people a perspective on how your background looks like, did you take any computer science classes in undergrad?
I did not take any computer science classes in undergrad.
So do you mind sharing how you ended up at Microsoft?
Okay, so it's an interesting story. So it was my freshman year, and freshman year at Scripps College, and I noticed that there wasn't a place to actually like sell books or sell your furniture. It was just like those mail digests, and they were just pretty like annoying to go through every single mail digest to see what's available. So I basically went without sleep for like a couple of days. And I built a PHP auction website. And basically it was for all of the Claremont College students to use. And to me, it was just so much fun. Like whenever I'd encountered a technical challenge of like me trying to figure out, okay, how do I fix this bug, or what do I do so that like the website runs smoothly. I kept the website running for a little bit, but because it was just me, it was just too much to promote, to like get other students to use it. But I mean, it did have like probably about like 100 students that were using it. And I mean, it was pretty awesome.
I did not know this. So you built eBay at the Claremont Colleges?
Yes, I did.
I mean, I think a lot of people, especially knowing that you didn't do your undergraduate in computer science, are probably A, amazed, but B, are wondering, how did you obtain the skills to figure out how to build such a website?
Google.
No, this is a totally legitimate answer.
I mean, basically, I've always been the type of person like, okay, if I don't know how to do something, I'm just going to go on Google and Google it and figure out like a tutorial or best practices, that kind of thing.
So you mentioned building websites for your friends before college, giving you the skills to know about HTML and CSS and the user interface of your website, but what were some of the, if you don't remember, that's okay too, what were some of the resources that you used back then online that you found through Google to self-educate?
In middle school or in college?
In college for this eBay style website.
There's definitely Lynda that I used. And then there were just so many tutorials online if you just searched. If you had the right search terms, it was pretty easy to find things. It was also really easy to find templates of other websites.
Mm-hmm. When you moved to Microsoft after college as a program manager, when did you sort of decide that you wanted to do or make the change to being in a software engineering track career?
So while I was at Microsoft, I did a lot of things of working with engineering to either fix phishing problems that we were experiencing with Bing ads or trying to fix our internal tools. And I always felt like my hands were tied when we'd tell engineering, hey, we need to be able to do this, and then they'd come back and their solution just wouldn't solve our problem. Mm-hmm. And I was like, you know what? If I really want to solve these problems, I need to be on the engineering side. Uh-huh. So I think that's one of the things that really motivated me to go back to school and get a bachelor's in computer science.
Do you mind sharing for our audience what curriculum-wise you learned doing that second bachelor's? Like what were the best parts curriculum-wise?
The best parts was that I didn't have to do any of the GE requirements since I'd already done that with my first undergrad. But I just love the curriculum. It went from everything to like web development, databases. We started off in C++, and then we did all like the algorithms class in C, which was at that point it was really painful. It was really painful working in C because I was like, there's other languages that are so much easier to do, so much easier to use. You don't need to worry about pointers. But I'm kind of glad we did it in C because now I think I have a better understanding of how these languages work.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
In general, yeah.
Was there a good crossover from your experience having built an auction site in PHP and having some familiarity with programming to when you were starting to do these C++ and C courses?
I don't think so because I think a lot of years had gone by with me doing that auction website and then me never touching the website again.
Got it.
So.
For people who are in a position of self-teaching themselves a lot of these topics, you mentioned Lynda as one resource for learning programming, but to augment maybe textbooks that they gave you in this bachelor's program for computer science, what were some of the other resources you used?
So in terms of textbooks, I really like some of the textbooks that they recommended for our classes. But honestly, Coursera. They have these amazing learning tracks. And then they also have these UCSD courses that are actually taught by Professor Christine Alvarado, who actually used to be a computer science teacher at Harvey Mudd. So once I found those classes, I was like, whoa, I'm taking Christine Alvarado's classes. And really loved those classes. They were really good.
So when you were back at Scripps, one of the reasons it sounds like before recording you were telling me that you did not end up doing an undergraduate degree in computer science is that Scripps College, which is part of a consortium of colleges along with Harvey Mudd, where Christine Alvarado is professor, did not have a major in computer science.
That's correct. They did not have a major in computer science during my freshman year, and you had to jump through a lot of hoops if you wanted to do computer science.
Got it.
Yeah.
So I guess this second bachelor's you did was kind of what kind of emotionally were you feeling when you decided to do it? Were you regretful that you didn't get to do it your first time around at Scripps?
I was a little bit regretful that I didn't get to do it my first time around, but then I realized, everything happens for a reason. I took a certain path, and that's what's led me to where I am at today. So,
out of this second bachelor's, when you were looking at entering the job market as a software engineer, how did you kind of seek out employers and prepare yourself for the job market?
In terms of seeking out employers, I had really specific criteria. It either had to be in downtown San Jose or south of San Jose because I didn't want to have to deal with commute.
Okay.
When we lived in Seattle, I was living on the east side and I was working in downtown Seattle, and that commute was just brutal. So when I started looking for software engineering jobs, I was very specific. I was like, I want to go reverse traffic.
So yeah, we should totally clarify for our audience that Carol's significant other is Jose Moreno, who we just recorded an interview with, who himself is also a software engineer at Netflix, which is also nearby San Jose. So given that your criteria were so specific geographically, did it feel high stakes when you went in to interview with employers in the area, since it might have felt like there were so few roles that you would want?
It did feel high stakes, but I mean, at that point, I was like, I value my sanity.
For sure.
And I've always said I don't think I'll ever move to San Francisco because it's just too far away.
Fair enough. So was IBM the only employer that you chose to interview with?
No, I interviewed with several employers. I think one of the things that I really liked was the IBM interview process. And so basically the interview process is like an honest-based interview process where you are doing, so the first screening is over the phone and it's like a shared whiteboard where you're typing in code and working with someone. And then the next interview is actually a couple of hours long where you're on the computer and you need to have a webcam and you're actually recording your explanations as you're solving these algorithm problems. And I mean, I really like that.
Is the team that you're on now hiring? Are there roles we can plug right now?
I'm sure there's tons of hiring going on. It's usually during the fall where IBM does a lot of recruiting specifically for new undergrads.
Got it. And in the show notes, we'll include links to the jobs listings for this stuff. That's interesting you mentioned recent grads or new grads. In contrast to Jose describing Netflix's criteria for candidates is that they do not hire recent grads or new grads. So that's really promising to hear.
It is.
What skills-wise do you have to recommend to prospective applicants?
I definitely think that we're definitely at IBM trying to use the latest technologies, and there's a really big push for Node.js. So just, brush up on JavaScript, be familiar with Node, and, just be willing to learn and to think about things like, okay, if you've already learned a language, try to think about it, okay, how can I learn what I've learned here into a different language?
Got it. One of the amazing things about you as a guest on the Accidental Engineer is just your background, getting that second bachelor's and in computer science, not having done college first time around in computer science. I think topics-wise, a lot of our audience would be really interested to hear a little bit more about how you approach self-teaching on topics like you mentioned Node.js, you mentioned Jupyter, you've mentioned SPSS. Those are a lot of technologies. So I think people who are overwhelmed with the concept of self-teaching would be stoked to hear about how you approach learning a new topic like Node.js, for example.
I think I'm just really big on coursework. Udacity is also a great tool where you can go on there and they have specific tracks that will walk you through everything, and you kind of build little tiny projects. And I think it's a great way to get your hands dirty with the code and just get some hands-on experience of small projects that you can later showcase.
You mentioned Coursera as well, Udacity, Lynda. When you go to these websites, do you prioritize which courses are worth taking?
So before I got my job at IBM, I actually prioritized based on the job descriptions that I was looking through. And I was like, okay, so it looks like there's more jobs that are interested in this kind of topic. So that's how I prioritized the topics I was doing on those online websites.
How did you kind of know when you were prepared to apply to these jobs?
Can I be honest with you?
Absolutely.
I still don't feel prepared.
Fair enough. Okay. I mean, that being said, you are now a staff software engineer at IBM. Been there 10 months. What pushed you over the decision barrier to hit submit or email that hiring manager at IBM? I also tried cracking the coding interview book-wise, and gone through that, and I've done a couple of those things. I was like, I think I'm ready to apply, and I had to, and I was like, I probably should get a job soon because I had just graduated, and I was like, okay, I can't just be
here learning for fun. I have to find a job soon, so.
Got it. I hear you. Any other piece of advice for basically yourself 5 years ago? I mean, 5 years ago, you graduated college. I think you were still at Microsoft. Is that right? So any kind of generalizable advice you might give yourself 5 years ago?
Find something you're really passionate about and try it out and see if it's something that sticks and it's something that you like.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. I mean, we've plugged roles at IBM. You guys are hiring new and recent grads.
Yes.
The data science experience team sounds really cool. SPS, very solid.
Yeah.
A lot of academic customers, is that right?
Yes, definitely.
Do you have a very customer-facing role as a staff software engineer?
Not really.
So in not having customer-facing role, how do you get fed back information from IBM about what are priorities for the product?
So we have a great offering manager that will provide and kind of let us know what the priorities are. And then we have a great design team in Germany that actually does user testing and gets user feedback on, the different designs that they give us.
Is an offering manager at IBM similar to a program manager at Microsoft?
It might be more similar to a product manager.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. What culturally did you find different from your first job at Microsoft versus your current job at IBM?
Not much was different.
Okay. I mean, coming from Seattle in one case to San Jose in another, is there much difference?
So I can't really compare that because when I was in the Seattle Microsoft office, it was a satellite office. It wasn't the actual Redmond headquarters.
Okay.
So yeah.
I mean, even...
And I was also in operations, sales, marketing. The office was filled with that. And right now in our office at SVL, it's mostly engineering.
This might sound like a weird question, but a lot of our audience asks this question of what programming language should I use or learn first? You kind of touched on how you went to job descriptions to help inform you about what to learn. Do you have any other opinions that you can share about what skills, programming languages you think forecasting into the future are going to be really valuable? You also mentioned Node.js as being particularly interesting to IBM. But
I mean, I definitely think Python.
Okay.
I feel like a lot. There's so many Python libraries out there that it's becoming easier and easier to do things. And I don't know. You can use Python in Jupyter notebooks.
For sure.
So.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, shit. This has been a pleasure.
Yeah,
Thanks for joining us, Carol.
Thanks, Max.